Couple of things. First, check out this awesome fan art. This is some of my favorite. Thank you to all of the artists who drew this for me. I love fan art. Enjoy it while I take the time to shout out a conference I'll be taking part in on April 7th in Dallas, Texas. If you guys want to come see me at the conference, you can visit the website at faithlessforum.com. I'm putting it in the description. I hope I get to see you guys there. I'll be hanging out with fans basically the whole time. So, onto the video. This one is classic. It's an old Mormon video that's been covered before, but not by me. So I figured I'd give you guys my take on it. Let's get into it.
The temptations of the Great War are many, the battles are real, and the strategies are clever. The enemy is cruel, ruthless, and relentless. We must not underestimate the danger. We must be vigilant and valiant.
Okay, so they're comparing this to what, like a war? Temptations of the Great War. What temptations are we talking about here?
A lonely, confused young man gets addicted to pornography.
Whoa, hold up. Did this dude just say addicted to porn? That is an interesting subject. Can you be addicted to porn? There are at least two sides to addiction, the physical aspect and the mental aspect. I say the mental aspect of addiction is the worst part of it in any case, because what's the worst part of heroin addiction? Flu-like symptoms for a week? I had to deal with physical withdrawal symptoms when I was hooked on drugs for a while. I've had the flu before. I could make it through that, but this overwhelming drive to take away the pain fueled my inability to stop. The fact that I knew there was a way to stop it, and it would make me feel all better, made me desperate enough to do just about anything. So there's the physical side and the mental side to addiction. The next thing I wanted to talk about with this is the fact that sex is a biological process. Can that be an addiction? There's some level of debate, but I and the scientific community believe that yes, it can be an addiction. What makes something an addiction? Here's the definition of it. A persistent, compulsive dependence on a behavior or substance. That kind of creates some gray areas sometimes, so I have an added definition of my own to fill out those gray areas. When it also negatively affects your life in some way, it's an addiction. So sex can be an addiction, even though it's a biological process. That being said, I think it has to be extremely intense for it to become an addiction. It has to negatively impact your life in some clear, distinct way. How has looking at porn ever negatively affected somebody's life? If you build a trust relationship with somebody who has a problem with you doing that, like a wife, I can understand why there would be an issue. But this is different. The situation they're laying out here involves a kid, say 16 years old, who presumably has no special emotional obligations or promises to anybody. Why is that a problem for him? Their main argument is he made a promise to God. I'm not sure why God would care what he looks at. He obviously made it possible for him to do that with literally no negative repercussions. Why does God care? Where does it say God cares about that in the Bible? While doing research for this, I decided to look for the verse which famously says, "Better to plant your seed in the belly of a whore than on the ground." But as it turns out, that verse doesn't exist. It's not real. It doesn't say that anywhere in the Bible. Surprised? Look it up. There is no verse in the Bible anywhere that condemns touching yourself. So touch it up. Go nuts. Let's continue.
His roommates know, but they do nothing to help him. He stops going to church, and there is darkness in his eyes. The young man is spiritually wounded on the battlefield of the Great War.
So the point here is that this kid's roommates didn't rat him out. Well, that's probably because they didn't think there was much wrong with it. They're probably watching porn too. Although that's kind of weird. Watching porn with the door open? And walking in on somebody watching porn? What was he doing? He didn't even have his belt unbuckled. Is he just staring at it with dead eyes?
In in our modern society, the enemy has spread fear of getting involved when someone's in trouble. And has fostered a social stigma against people who speak up in the face of evil.
First, this analogy has gone way too far at this point. This is ridiculous. And second, this is obviously not just about a kid looking at porn. This is about the fact that they should be ratting each other out. When I was in high school, I was completely socially crippled. I didn't have any friends or know how to make friends. But eventually, I got to the point where I was comfortable enough to find a girlfriend. I started hanging out with her a lot, and eventually the Jehovah's Witnesses who went to my school ratted me out. This hits pretty close to home for me. I know exactly what it's like to be followed by supposed friends who are trying to tear your life apart and find evidence of you doing the wrong thing in their eyes.
The enemy whispers, don't get involved. It's not your problem. Don't tell. You'll be a tattletale. Oh, brothers and sisters, don't leave the wounded on the battlefield. Stick together. You don't need to be a more righteous than thou person. We're all sinners. We all have troubles. We've all been spiritually wounded in the battles of the Great War. But you who have felt the redeeming power of Christ, you who know his love and his grace, you know he can heal all wounds. If you reach out in a spirit of love and humility, you can help the spiritually wounded find the Savior.
See, this is my problem with cults. They're experts at spinning things. They take something that's objectively wrong and bad for society, and they make it look like it's good or virtuous. Like Jehovah's Witnesses saying you must shun friends and family who decide they don't believe it anymore. That is objectively wrong and bad for society. It says so in the Declaration of Human Rights, Articles 18 and 20. But they spin it to sound good by saying, we're helping them, we want them to come back. They have no reason to come back if there aren't consequences for their actions. Plus, you have to protect yourself. Or, we have to make sure the congregation is protected from Satan's influence. We don't want a wolf wandering around among the sheep. We have to know if this person is up to no good. Follow them. Find out what they're doing and report back to us. I was a kid, just living life. I had a girlfriend. I was developing friendships for the first time in my life. And here they come, practically stalking me. Tyrants always find a pretext for their tyranny.
If you need to, talk to your bishop. Tell someone who can do something that you have a friend in trouble.
Damn! I thought they were gonna kiss for a second. That would have been f***ing epic.
Don't be silent. Don't leave the wounded on the battlefield.
You hear the trumpets? This valiant atmosphere they're creating here. Don't leave the wounded on the battlefield. Id est, rat your friends out, at any cost, even if it ruins their lives. If they're peeling the banana, tell the entire congregation. Shame them into submission. This is propaganda at its core. Spinning some awful, objectively bad idea to seem good. I feel so terrible for the people who are trapped in this. The only consolation I take is the fact that I'm dragging them out one by one with each video I release. I owe it to society after all the doors I knocked on and all the Bible studies I held, after all the magazines I passed out, all the friends and family I shunned, all the terrible things I did in the Watchtower Society's name. I owe it to these people to give them what my sister and her ex-husband gave to me, a realization that I'd been lied to my entire life. That's all I've got for you guys. Follow me on Discord, Twitter, Patreon, and Facebook. And don't forget to check out Faithless Forum. Links are in the description, and there should be a clickable annotation on screen. Thanks for watching, guys.